Hello, you're listening to the Robot Wars History podcast where we chat the development of the show and the British robot combat scene in general, by looking at key teams and bots. I'm your host Luke, and with me today is Nick.
Hello.
Beeve.
Heyo.
And today, we're finally doing it.
Every single video that we post, you guys are asking for this one. So we thought it's about time.
Possibly the most iconic robot ever. It is Razer. Now, Razer debuted in Series 8 of Robot Wars. It appeared in the first episode, and it was a strange choice for a debut. Do you want to talk about it, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, Razer first made its impact on the Robot Wars fandom in the very opening minutes of the show's rebirth. We all loved Robot Wars for many years, and we wanted a strong return to form, and we could tell that Razer was going to be one of the reboot icons the second that Ian Lewis, Simon Scott, and Jilly Blood started talking about sausage rolls with Angela Scanlon. You know...
And I mean, sausage rolls, they're my favourite food.
Well,
so,
exactly.
at that moment, I have found my favourite robot.
And when you see a sausage roll with a team, you just know it's like the perfect type of robot in itself, isn't it? It's got a thick outer shell. It's got a good internal system. It's versatile. It's well rounded. There's no weak spots to it. So when you see the sausage roll, you know that Razer itself is going to roll with it in the arena.
Yeah, it is a veritable, a sausage roll of a robot, and I mean, at that point, it is basically perfection.
Yeah, I think it should be noted here that despite this being their first appearance, these guys were no rookies. Ian Lewis, they previously appeared in the Antweight Championships with Razer. I think it was based on a toy, but I'm not sure where the toy came from.
Yeah, I think it's one of those those build your own bot sets that you'd get from the local garden centre for about £8.
Yeah,
you get your own paint, you get loads of random construction parts, and you put something together. So, I don't know if Ian Lewis's younger children, if his kids put something together, they could have
the
copied the Hypnodisc route. That was always an iconic machine. So
yeah,
and they
were most famous
Razzler together. So
they were most famous.
And of course, after seeing that, we just wanted to see it sized up, and of course, production must have known this because straight away, episode 1 of the reboot. There's Razer, it is Razzler, it's sized up, and it is ready to just kill everything.
Yeah, I mean, going into this heat, it was obviously hyped up as an immediate heat of death, and you could see why. I mean, in the other melee, we had the Robot Wars legend Behemoth, which was partnered with a new Star Carbide, which had a ton of hype. But despite Razer having hype too, it really had to prove itself against not just Terahertz, but the Robot Wars legend that is Killy Cranky, four-headed by Robin Herrick. So it was always going to be a tough ask.
And the way
of the Cold Fusion team.
Yeah, the way Razer immediately launches for Killy Cranky, it's weird. It's like there's bad blood between them or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Razer does go for them, and I mean, you gotta just to pause. I think we need to admire the look of Razer. It's a fantastic looking machine. You could almost say it looks like it's part bird, part reptile.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a decent shout. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like you could put that on a t-shirt.
I mean, I'd personally say that it's the texture and design quality. It's very reminiscent of the look and material that was used on the Iron Mask in Series 3, if you remember that machine. So there could have been inspiration there from the classic series. I don't know, you had the very sharp edges in that as well, and the Iron Mask's axe was very similar in Razer's own functionality, visually and in battle. So, yeah, I mean,
honestly, it was just nice to see, of course, a crusher because, all the way back in the a classic series, of course, there was definitely a crusher that really did.
Yeah,
much.
I mean, Suicidal Tendencies had a good tag team campaign. To be fair to it,
Yeah, but like in the main competition, I don't know.
I think Razer benefited from appearing in Series 8 and not in the Classic Series because often, a lot of the time, when someone entered with a cushion in the Classic Series, they'd be kind of written off as, oh, that's a Tiberius clone or something. So I'm glad they get a chance to kind of like shine and like show themselves without comparison to other bots here.
Yeah.
And of course, and of course, like they're in a heat with, of course, like a Tiberius's and like a creator. So of course,
Yeah.
like we all wanted to see this like massive like grudge match, you know. What could be called a clone, which was Razer versus the originator of the Crusher, Tiberius. Like we all wanted to see
That's
that,
true.
but alas, something went wrong, and that did not happen.
Yeah, I mean...
So let's talk about what happened in that. It's truly depressing fight.
It is unfortunate because Razer shows a good tactical sense because I mean Nuts it's a bit of a weird gangly bot, don't really know where to grab it. Terahertz, you don't want to get in the middle of the axe. So it springs for the obvious target. It goes for Killicranky, it's a big long body, easy to avoid that disc, and it just goes it's dominating the fight against Killicranky.
Oh yeah, like if you get stuck into like a nuts, little like a mini bots, then like that is a truly powerful shot right there. Like
that's great driving.
We all saw that, and of course, like we knew that this was a robot to be feared. This is a robot that could win the entire series.
That's hitting the bullseye, being able to get one of those little bots.
Exactly. But then Razer keeps on crapping Killicranky, not giving it a moment to let up, and then they took it to the pit.
It really is sad to see. I mean, yeah, Killicranky. It's that longness. It's usually
longness.
Usually longness. It dooms a bot. We know this to be true. A long bot is a bad bot, but in this case,
yeah,
maybe the longness made it a good bot.
Surely it's more wide than long. Alright, but of course, Razer took him to the pit. But Killicranky just got a moment of purchase, and that was enough for Razer to go tumbling in. And you can tell just how much people wanted to see this robot by the sheer outrage that just erupted the moment it touched down in the pit.
Oh yeah, social media was afire. Everyone was like, I can't believe Razer went out, like, turning off Robot Wars, now Razer is out.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it was this that just led to the death of the show in 2017.
I think when the Director General of the BBC saw that, he was like, "All right, we're putting on the Olympics. We're putting on Blue Planet."
Yeah, if Razer hadn't gone down the pit, then I think we'd be on to Series 13, right? Well, actually, we wouldn't.
Series 13. Well, I mean, true. Yeah. I'll give you credit there, mate.
Mm.
Yeah. But that was not the timeline that we live in. It is truly a dark timeline that we live in. But it sounded like Razer was going to come back for Series 9. There were rumblings on social media.
I think we should discuss. Where do we think how do we think Razer's season would have gone if Killicranky hadn't gotten that purchase? If they'd been able to just put him in the pit as expected, Nuts doesn't score any points, so it's Razer and Terahertz through.
Yeah, that's right. Nuts is pretty terrible. I don't think it would really do anything. Now, of course, Razer had that, of course, anti-spinner wedge. So, of course, I think Carbide would have been child's play for Razer.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, the Razer team, they are they're no rookies when it comes to spinners. They famously entered Warhead into BattleBots. Strangely called Team Razer. I don't know why they called themselves Team Razer and then took so long to build it. But
maybe they were just preparing themselves for the robot, you know?
Well, I imagine the Sistine Chapel took a long time to paint, so...
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was Razer was in a few live events where it managed to pick up a...
I heard it won a close judge's decision against Thunderchild. I heard that was a bit of a classic, but for the actual show...
I think you're right. I think a combination of that experience, the big thick wedge they had on. I mean, we saw in that episode, Carbide doesn't do well against spinner killers. So
yeah,
I think the student would slay the master and Sam Smith would fall.
Exactly, and of course, from there, of course, I don't know why, but I feel like Razer would just like really well against a Behemoth, and at that point you've got like two victories. You're basically won the entire heat, mate.
No, I disagree. I think Behemoth would have the upper hand there. Like I think Razer could get pinned in the flame grill, and there's no kidding.
I don't know. I feel like Razer could get pinned in the flame grill, but I think they could get free and crush into one of the wheel pods of Behemoth and win the judges.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's just too specific of a thing to point out. But I mean, I guess if you want to try and analyze deeper, then you can bring it into the equation. I just think we got to keep things simple and just think that Behemoth's going to keep rolling it over and win. But
I think
that's true.
I think
but I'm all about terahertz.
Yeah, I think if anything, they're a real threat to watch out because I mean, Razer's got to get.
I mean, terahertz has polycarbonate armor, so there's no getting through that. Angela proved that. So.
Yeah,
it didn't take any damage all episode, and then it's just a slow crusher against a fast axe. They're basically the same weapon, but Razer's move slower. So
I think I mean, even if they get them on, I mean, what like 2/3 of terahertz is just a big fake like metal. Fake metal shield.
That's obviously the exposed area because it's not polycarb, but
I think but you know what I think, and of course, and of course, I know this is quite a novel concept, but I think that Razer could of course drive around to the back, and of course attack them there.
Maybe. I mean, we saw in series 9, terahertz is vulnerable from the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, but John Reed in that fight was against another experienced driver, so.
True. I think for the comparison you made to terahertz weapon, we can also make another comparison. Terahertz, it was able to withstand Carbide's bar, and Carbide's bar it's spinning at something like 3,000 RPM. Razer, it's not even at 1 RPM.
Exactly.
It can't make a full rotation.
You make some very good points, I must say. So are we saying that Razer comes third in the round robin?
I think second, but it's a decisive second.
Yeah. Do you think we get a wild card then?
I don't know. I mean, it all depends really what you want in the grand final. If you want a slow-moving axe, then yeah, maybe. But
yeah, I reckon 4 would still get the wild card. So Racer would definitely go up with a bit more dignity.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, beating Carbide, of course, that definitely changes a few things in the grand final. But this isn't a what if podcast. Although I'm sure those could be quite fun. But Racer badass for Series 8, and of course, Twitter made their anger known.
Yeah, I mean, I remember stories I remember a story. There was one guy who he went outside of BBC Studios in London, and he poured gasoline over himself and set himself on fire. And
wasn't that just Craig Charles when Dara was announced as the host?
No, this was real. When they put out the fire,
and it's just Jay Middlemiss to the side of Craig being like, "What does that do?"
When they put him out,
I'm on fire, Jane.
When they put the guy out, though, really, this actually happened. You can look it up. The dying words that came out of his blackened lips were, "Some people are gentlemen," and he didn't elucidate from there. But I think we can assume it was to do with Razer not getting into Series 9.
Maybe.
Which I mean, I've got people just as I.
Is there an article on this on the wiki at all, or is it just folks lore and word of mouth?
Well, my uncle works.
No, is that just what he is?
Your uncle? Oh.
My uncle works at Robot Wars, actually.
Does he actually? Mate, you never told me this. Oh.
Yeah, Luke, why did this never come up before?
Did he enter a robot?
Well, actually, it's funny. His name is Jonathan Pierce.
What? Who? I've never heard of him, but did he fail at the qualifiers or?
Well, he actually lost his position because he was recorded telling me about this story, and he finished it with burn baby burn, which very inappropriate.
Oh yeah, like there's got to be disciplinary actions for that.
Yeah, no, he might have like lost his job.
Yeah, that's fair. So is he looking for another one now, or?
Maybe he'll get to the
I heard he's entering a
US one.
tournament.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, what's that like?
I think it's he just gets pit. It's like a fighting tournament. He just gets pitted against like it's like other people. It's robots. It sounds pretty weird to me, but
Jeez, well you'll have to give me a link to that live stream.
oh, I will.
Thanks, mate.
So yeah, Razer sadly did not enter into Series 9, but
Mate, I'm more
think-
concerned with your uncle fighting now. Don't worry.
I think we can make some judgments on how they would have done. I think it might be best to because I mean we've already seen how formidable they are. We assume with that experience under their belt, they're gunning for the top. So I think maybe we could run them against like the grand finalists of Series 9.
Let's say the a heat finalist and also the grand finalist, just to open things out a bit, you know. This is a pretty a short episode, so let's make this a bit longer. You guys okay with that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Starting off then, Razer versus Sabretooth.
I mean,
I assume we are going with these robots at their like most worky, so like
Worky.
Sabretooth isn't going to be. I don't know, I couldn't say peak because that's a bit hard to define, so I just said worky. So yeah, it's like Sabretooth isn't going to be the like shambling zombie that it was. The show, I think Razer has it, to be honest. Like, you know, like Sabretooth has some pretty like nasty a ground clearance. Razer could like quite easily get around to the
Nah, I
back, as I
mean,
said.
if Gabriel Stroud outdrove John Reed and John Reed outdrove Ian Lewis, then Sabretooth's just going to get round the back.
he's got a point.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Oh, so that's a loss for Razer straight away. Versus Aftershock.
They handled Kelly Cranky pretty well. I think we know they can face verts without like getting hit, so I think they could probably pull it off against Aftershock. And I mean, Aftershock's design isn't going to let them drag them into the pit the same way.
Well, Luke, if of course I like Will Thomas outdrove Gabe Stroud.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Outdrove John Reed.
By the transitive property.
Yeah.
There's nothing Razer can do.
I
at
do
that point,
agree
right?
again,
They
yeah.
are like 3 driver levels above Ian Lewis. Like there's nothing.
That's true.
Nothing Razer could do. As much as I hate to say it. So that brings us to Cherub, and I mean like that's an easy Razer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess. But
yeah.
if Cherub beat PP3D and PP3D beat Eruption and Eruption beat Aftershock and Aftershock beat Sabretooth and Sabretooth beat Terahertz
I think
and Terahertz beat Razer, then there's only one winner and Cherub's going to get round the back and win again.
Mate, you see, like, I don't think that works because, like, no, they are very, like, different robots. So, like, you know, I don't think that works here.
No,
I think
I've
you're
just
stretching.
listed off like 19 robots now, and you're just going to put my theory to the side. I'm disgusted.
I think you're stretching the maths here. I mean,
Oh, mate, I'm disgusted, but okay.
it's fortunate because I mean, just to say, like, if Razer did lose Cherub, the driver would never storm off like Kanas, like
It's like the mild version of Robot Wars Series 9. Everything more mild happens. Like, you know, Cherub only breaks a house robot instead of the arena wall. Crackers and Smash, like, maybe hits, I don't know, Shunt in the axe instead of the arena wall. Kane Aston storms off. Aftershock's panel hits, like, the pit release tyre instead of the polycarbonate walls, you know. Just the mild-mannered, suitable for work Robot Wars Series 9. I like it.
Why would it not be suitable for work normally?
Oh, mate, well, because there's metal-mashing mayhem! as quoted by Luke's relative.
Uncle.
Yeah.
Right, so of course, Razer wins. Now, of course, this leads us to Eruption, and I don't know if Razer can actually self-right.
No
Because,
way.
it doesn't look like it can. So I think Eruption takes this without too much trouble.
Yeah, I think I agree. We never saw any proof it could self-right, so...
Yeah. So that brings us on to 4.
Well, again, it's slow axe v fast axe. Move on.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. 4 wins. Oh, mate, we all thought that Razer would have a really good shot at this, but they've only won 1 fight.
Oh, that just proves that it's been overrated all this time.
You say that, but
Dorset versus Dorset. Now, of course, since I am from Dorset myself, I have a lot of a personal stake in this fight. It's Racer versus Concussion.
Absolute cakewalk. Concussion. It's a plastic lid.
My hometown pride is just so strong right now. I don't.
Concussion.
Know what to say.
It's got a plastic lid. It's got none of the driving skills of Gabriel Stroud at the helm, and if it wasn't for those driving skills, I was ready to vote Razer through against Sabretooth. We've seen...
Well, as we said about the mild-mannered Series 9, the fact that Simon Scott helped out with Concussion just proves that it's a worse version of Razer anyway, so...
Exactly. He had the spare time. That's how confident he was.
I like the sabotage it. That's why it kept on... that's why it kept on... bursting into flames.
Yeah.
Simon Scott was sabotage it.
I do agree.
We cannot discount that. So I think Razer does pick up a win here, and against a grand finalist. So we're still talking a formidable opponent here.
Yeah, sure. It can make a heat final. So then Pulsar, which is just gonna break down.
It's gonna burn out.
Yeah.
Much like that unfortunate man outside BBC Studios London.
So then that brings us to Ironside 3, and of course, Razer has that a spinner plate.
I agree, but Ironside 3 ripped off a big anti-spinner plate in Worms, so...
That is true.
And they're basically identical.
There's not really anywhere for Razer to grab onto it, because anywhere it puts the claw down, it's in danger of being hit by the blade. So yeah, I think I'm...
Yeah, it's fair. Nick. So Razer loses. Then we got Apollo, and of course, again, Razer can't self-right, so Apollo wins.
I'm sorry, what's the transitive property for losing to Apollo? What's the chain of losses for Apollo?
Well,
who did it outdrive?
Can't self-right, as we said, remember?
True. But is it not possible? We know that Apollo didn't upgrade from Series 8, and Razer, this is a new team. They're hungry. They're in it to win it. They'll have made upgrades. So it could be maybe Apollo gets left behind.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a close one, but it's gonna be just one set. Get them over it.
I don't agree. I think Apollo it's a champion resting on its laurels. It thinks it can just go out. It can go out partying every night. It doesn't need to train, and then the upstart rookie, the one no one bets on, upsets the whole thing.
Yeah, sure, I'll go with that.
I want to give a win to Razer, and of course
it's a real Rocky story. Except I think Rocky loses in the first film. So.
And of course, as we said before, against Carbide, we have the as spinner plate.
Well,
there's no issue. Why are people even losing against Carbide? They're all shit.
As Nick has illustrated, we have to follow the divine chain of being. Carbide outdrove Aftershock, which outdrove Sabretooth, which outdrove John Reed, which outdrove Razer. It's set in time. It's immutable.
No arguing with that.
Yeah, alright, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Carbide takes it. So Razer wins 4 fights. So it could be a heat finalist.
I think pretty safely it could be a heat finalist.
And it could also be a very, very lucky grand finalist.
Now, I don't think they would. I'm not sure if they would. I don't want to try and predict what it would enter in Series 10. But I think it'd be a surefire cert for the World Series. Just a hunch.
Yeah. I think it would win. No, it would definitely be a world champion. But who could it take on?
It's an interesting one actually. I think Terra Turtle might be a good match because I mean it's got the spinner, it's got the mini bot. I think Razer could do pretty well against both.
Well,
of those
yeah, I
things.
mean against mini bots, it's just completely done there and there, isn't it?
Even though they like Crush, of course, I like a Nuts, I like a mini bot way back in series.
Well, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tough as Nails could be an
yeah,
interest. I think Tough as Nails could be an interesting one. It's like what's better,
Crush
the-
versus Crush.
the-
Well, I mean,
Downy-
it's just two Crushers against one, so obviously that would be
what's
interesting.
better, the Crusher go downwards or the Crusher go sideways? It's
Well,
an interesting matchup.
Tough as Nails has two Crushers,
Yeah.
so
True. But they're not sharp ones, and what would you rather go against? The guy with two blunt knives or a guy with one really sharp knife?
well, I'd rather go against the guy with two blunt knives because I wouldn't die.
He makes a point. What else is there? Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Rabbit M8.
Rabbit!
it's just a rabbit on a bed.
Right, yeah, so of course, like, so for like, M8, there's, like, of course, like, nowhere to grab, so, like...
Oh, it's got two big wheels. What are you on about?
Nah, man. Nah, man, like, I mean, like, where's the singer? Of course, like, where's it, like, gonna actually, like, grab, like, a singer? Like, no, there is no way that, like, Razer could, like, ever be like, a fight bot, right?
Why not?
Because it can't grab anywhere. Like, no.
Nah,
like,
mate, it
no,
grabs that
like,
wheel.
there's
That
no-
wheel. That wheel falls off. It starts flying around the arena. Comical jet of like steam coming out. Rabbit mate's done.
I agree.
I'm not convinced. I don't think there's anyone that can really grab. That's actually going to have any effect. There is Theator. That's also in the World Series.
No, it's Aftershock, but without the divine chain of being of driving. So.
Yeah, but it's also Theator.
Much to think about. I think against Qatard. I'm not sure did.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not
Against
learning.
the country Qatar.
I'm not learning how to say
Yeah,
it. So
I was just fighting against the entirety of like a guitar.
I don't know. Did Warhead ever fight Team Fuzzy in BattleBots? I'm not sure. I think we'd have
I'm
to
not
find
sure,
out
mate.
there.
Believe it is.
Now Cobra's the really interesting one because I'd usually put Razer, but we've seen from Series 9 Series 10 Cobra is pretty inventive. They had the one setup which was like the little snakehead crusher. They had the WED, so they've probably prepared for Razer. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
Razer-
it's just a boring claw for Razer versus a claw with a face on it. So
Yeah,
the face
like,
obviously
like,
wins.
I bet they have like some kind of like a frame ready. To,
exactly.
like,
That's what I'm thinking.
really get at Razer.
This is an inventive team. They've prepared for a bot as famous as Razer. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe like some kind of cage. I'm not sure.
A cage?
We're in-
Stick like a blade
Mate,
on it,
why
like,
would you be allowed a
stick
cage in the arena?
Well, I mean, like, if you like stick like a blade in it, then of course.
Yeah,
like,
you stick a disc on it, it's an active
different,
weapon.
Like, weapon.
But it'd just be a
and, like,
completely different robot. Why the hell would they allow that?
Oh, mate, come on, it's like the Robot Wars, okay? Like, they don't care about rules. They just like do whatever they want.
I thought you were getting ridiculous enough with some of your Behemoth versus Razer comparisons and theories, but this is just stupid now. Come on.
Well, sadly, we'll
Cage.
never know. Because
Jesus
eventually
Christ. Thank God you're not the producer, mate. That's all I'll say. Fucking Cage.
Right, okay, Nick, like, let's get it, alright? Sometimes we just have to accept that, of course, we can't have everything that we like.
Exactly.
Okay?
Just
So I
do
think
a
we
crusher via crusher. There's no need for a
So I
cage.
think you need to calm the hell down, alright, and just accept that, like some teams just.
Like, what are you going to do? Put a
just
trolley
adapt,
around
alright?
Cobra?
No, Nick, listen, mate, alright, shut up, okay? Alright? Alright, you're making me genuinely angry, alright? You just need to accept that, like, sometimes these things need to happen, alright?
I think Weeber's an interesting one because you look at it, like
Weeb. He's against a weeb.
So Razer wins by putting holes in things, but Weaver is already full of holes.
Oh, exactly.
But that might also benefit because it gives Razer something to grab onto already.
Yeah, but then Razer has holes, so Weaver.
Yeah, but Razer's holes are really small, so you can't
That's
really
true.
grab them.
Oh, right, rubber.
Yes.
I generally have no idea
Weaver.
what you're talking about.
So anyway, Weaver, it's got the thing of Razer can't self-right, but it might not need to self-right if it grabs a hold of the holes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
sadly, this is all hypothetical. After 2 years mired in controversy from that fateful Series 8 Episode 1, multiple deaths, riots outside the BBC London studios, it was finally decided it would be best to cancel Robot Wars after 2 seasons, and so we'll never know what Razer could achieve.
Yeah.
Well, actually, with my other uncle who also works at Robot Wars, he told me that it might be coming back on Babe Station.
Oh,
Really?
Man, I really hope
Well,
so,
what?
right?
Again, like Ollie came up with the cage idea. Why the fuck would Robot Wars come back on Babe Station, mate? What are they going to do to appeal to that audience?
Well, it was pretty weird. They said they'd get Dara on the phones. So
Right.
I'm not sure
well,
how much.
okay, well, I'm absolutely paying for that then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If that'll go, how well that'll go. But I mean, fingers crossed.
I think there's an audience there.
I think so.
I don't know, like, personally I think, like, of course, like, they just, like, I mean, of course, like, you know, I think the, like, a team could, of course, like, bring back that, like, robot from the, like, old days. I think it was, like, Warhead, and, of course, just, of course, like, put that on the, like, the US show. I think it's called, like, I think it's called, like, Fight, Mech or something.
Well, I've heard they've actually got a contract.
Fighting Mech?
I've heard there's talks of a robot combat show starting in Syria, and I've heard Warhead
really?
is going to be appearing there. They might have to change the name. It's rather touchy over there, but
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see, actually.
Well, until we hear more coming out of Damascus, that will be it for today.
Yeah.
Join
We hope you enjoyed.
Join us next episode where for the rest of our Series 8 coverage, where we'll be covering a real veteran of the sport in Infernal Contraption, and we're really excited. I hope you are too.
Yeah, that's a Toast solo episode, so...
Yeah, like, you know, I'm sure you'll enjoy his ramblings on Infernal Construction.
It will be a Toast three-parter.
Yeah.
Good grief, imagine.
Nick, what do you mean imagine? It's
yeah,
happening.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all recorded.
Yeah.
Until then, thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Yep.
Good night.
Goodbye. Yeah. And also, April Fools.